December 26, 2010, Foreston, Texas. The day after Christmas, a family found a locked metal box hidden among the belongings of their daughter-in-law, who had just taken her own life at the age of 35. Inside that box was a collection of documents, and what they contained would unravel one of the most baffling identity mysteries in American history. Her name, they thought, was Lori Erica Ruff. She had been married into the family for 4 years. She had a daughter. She had a life. But as investigators began to piece together the contents of that box, they discovered something chilling. Lori Erica Ruff did not exist. The woman they had known, the mother, the wife, the neighbor, had been living as someone else for at least 22 years. And to this day, no one knows who she really was. To understand this story, you have to go back to 1988. That year, someone in Washington state acquired a copy of a birth certificate belonging to a little girl named Becky Sue Turner. Becky had been born in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho in 1968, and she had died in a house fire in 1971, just 3 years old. She had never grown up. She had never gone to school. She had no social security number, no credit history, no footprint in the modern world. To a person trying to disappear, a dead child's identity is a near-perfect blank slate. Using that birth certificate, whoever this woman was obtained a social security card in Becky Sue Turner's name. She enrolled at Pensacola Junior College in Florida in 1988 under that name. She studied, she worked, she built a paper life, and nobody, not a single person, asked the right questions. She was meticulous, careful. She avoided situations where her past might surface. When her future husband's family tried to learn more about her background, she gave them almost nothing. She claimed to have grown up in difficult circumstances. She was evasive, sometimes hostile, when pressed about her childhood or her family. In hindsight, every deflection was a wall she was building between them and the truth. By the mid-2000s, she had relocated to Texas. In 2003, she married Daniel Ruff, a man from a tight-knit family in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She took his last name, Lori Erica Ruff, and for a few years, it seemed like she was building something real. She had a daughter born in 2008. Family photos show a woman who appears warm, normal, ordinary. But behind closed doors, things were fracturing. Family members described her as intensely secretive and at times volatile. She became increasingly isolated from Daniel's family. By 2010, the marriage had collapsed. Daniel filed for divorce. Lori lost custody of their daughter. And on December 24, 2010, Christmas Eve, she drove to the Ruff family neighborhood, parked down the street from where her daughter was celebrating Christmas, and took her own life in her car. She was found the next morning. When the Ruff family went through her belongings after her death, they found the metal box. It was locked. Deliberately, it seemed. They forced it open. Inside were documents that made no sense. There was the birth certificate for Becky Sue Turner. There were enrollment records from Pensacola. There were fragments of a life, but all of it under a name that wasn't real. Most disturbingly, there were handwritten notes, cryptic, coded. No one could decipher them fully. One note contained what appeared to be an address in the Seattle, Washington area. Another had initials, possibly a name, possibly an abbreviation, that investigators could not link to anyone. The locked box told investigators everything and nothing. She had known exactly who she was. She had kept the proof hidden, and she had never told a single person the truth. The FBI was called in, and the investigation that followed would become one of the longest and most puzzling identity cases in Bureau history. Detectives and FBI agents began working backward through her documented life. They confirmed that Becky Sue Turner had died in 1971. They confirmed the identity had been assumed in the late 1980s. They found her college enrollment in Pensacola. They traced her through Texas, but every trail leading further back, before 1988, went cold. Her fingerprints were entered into every major database. No match. Her DNA was collected and compared. No match. Facial reconstruction specialists aged photographs backward to estimate what she might have looked like as a teenager. No match. Hundreds of tips flooded in from people who thought they recognized her. All of them dead ends. Investigators believed she had likely come from the Pacific Northwest based on circumstantial evidence, the Seattle area address in the box, the fact that she obtained Becky Turner's birth certificate in Washington state. Some theorized she may have fled an abusive situation or that she was hiding from someone dangerous. Others wondered whether she had committed a crime and was running from it. She had been so careful, so thorough in erasing herself that even the best investigative tools in the world couldn't find her. Over the years, the case attracted intense public attention. Genealogy researchers, amateur sleuths, and forensic experts all took a crack at it. The website for the Ruff family's own search efforts drew millions of visits. In 2017, investigators made what seemed like a breakthrough. Using genetic genealogy, the same technique that would later crack the Golden State Killer case. They built a DNA profile and began searching databases. They identified potential relatives. They narrowed geographic regions. They generated new leads. Then in 2019, news broke that investigators believed they had identified her. According to reporting at the time, DNA and genealogical research pointed to a woman born in the late 1960s with ties to the Pacific Northwest, a woman whose family members were still alive and had not known what happened to her. But law enforcement stopped short of a full public confirmation. The family of the woman believed to be her real identity requested privacy. Some details remained sealed to protect them. As of early 2025, the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office and the FBI have still not officially released her confirmed identity to the public, citing ongoing sensitivity around the surviving family. The woman who lived as Lori Erica Ruff was someone's daughter, possibly someone's sister, someone who, for reasons she took to her grave, chose to erase herself completely and become another person. There is one more person in this story who carries its weight most heavily. Lori Erica Ruff's daughter was 2 years old when her mother died. She was raised by her father, Daniel, and the Ruff family in Texas. She has grown up knowing almost nothing about where she came from, about her mother's real name, her real family, her real history. That little girl now has a biological grandmother, biological aunts and uncles, biological cousins, people connected to her by blood, who may or may not know she exists. People who may have been searching for their own missing family member for decades, never imagining the answer was buried in a cold case in Texas. The DNA that cracked open the identity question? It didn't just connect a dead woman to a name, it potentially connected a child to an entire family she never knew. So who was she really? Why did she do it? What was she running from? The most likely explanation, according to investigators who've spoken publicly, is that she was fleeing a dangerous situation. Domestic abuse, a controlling family, some kind of threat that made total disappearance feel like the only option? In the late 1980s, before the internet, before facial recognition, before DNA databases, it was far easier to step into someone else's name and simply vanish. She built a new life. She fell in love. She had a child. And for 22 years, she was whoever she said she was. But the locked metal box suggests she never fully let go of whatever she was hiding. She kept those documents. She kept the proof of what she'd done, maybe as insurance, maybe as memory, maybe because some part of her needed to hold on to the truth of who she actually was, even if she could never speak it aloud. The woman who lived as Lori Erica Ruff is buried in Texas. A headstone marks the grave of a name that wasn't hers. And somewhere, the real story of her life before 1988 is still waiting to be fully told. True crime is full of killers and monsters. But sometimes, the most haunting stories are about ordinary people. People trying to survive, trying to escape, trying to become someone new, and the secrets they carry all the way to the end. If this story moved you, if it made you think about the lives hidden underneath the ones we show the world, hit subscribe. New true crime cases every single week right here on lokedogg. The next one might be even stranger than this.